Good morning, everybody. Stu Smith here, going live. I am trying to go live on Instagram, but there may be an issue over there, so we'll just keep it over here on Facebook and YouTube for now. Looks like it's might work. Instagram was saying they had some issues, but no big deal. So let's go. Today's Tuesday. That means we're doing a CSS critique show with some submitted videos that you guys sent in over the last week. So got a few of those. And then while you guys congregate, I'm going to chat a little bit about training the next generation. That is kind of what I do. I've been enjoying working out with young men and women who are preparing to serve for over 25 years now and seen some great ones. And um, I take it very seriously. Sometimes it's their first exposure to a military style workout that is not necessarily strength and athleticism. It's more conditioning and muscle stamina. But depending on your athletic history, you may need more strength. So it's fun trying to create a tactical athlete out of an athlete, or even more fun, a non athlete into a tactical athlete. Takes a little more time, but it can be done. Um, I just wrote an article about my local training programs that I do here, been doing for over 20 plus years now. Um, Local out of state folks come over, find a place to stay, find a place to work out with us for a little bit, then go off, do great things. In our local training programs, also do some training programs for the admissions department at the Naval Academy, work with their summer seminar folks and see about 2,500 high school kids in a year, expose them to training and testing and you know what is involved in preparation for that. And then also something that a lot of people don't know because I don't really film this a lot or ever is in my carport. I have a neighborhood gym that I invite kids over to train. And when I first started, it was when my son was a teenager. And when COVID hit, all the athletes in the neighborhood um, lost their sports. They had nothing to do. They were watching Zoom school for all day, and then I was like, okay, here's the deal. Every day, 3:30, come to our carport. We'll get it done. And we did workouts all that year, and it was just a lot of fun. So now I have this next generation of kids, and I remember seeing this one always playing hockey. Like for the last 10 years in his driveway, he has been playing hockey. He's only 14, 15 years old, and he is religious about it every day. And it's just fun to see, somebody who has that much love for something and dedication to it. And so yesterday was his first workout with us, and it's going to be a lot of fun. My son's going to help me train him and get him and get a couple of his buddies so he's not just the only guy there, and just have some fun training the next generation, getting him bigger and stronger for hockey season. So very excited. Those things just make me happy. Um, that's why I like to do that. So good stuff. So that's what I do. I work out, I write about it, I talk about it, and hopefully you guys pick something up from what I do. Uh, Question from Caleb says, what kind of certifications and or degrees do you find most helpful? Training, coaching, military hopefuls, currently NASM, CPT, and planning to go college once I get off active duty. I think those are great. I went NSCA, CSCS. They also have a tactical um, tactical conditioning facilitator. Um, that doesn't require a college degree, but the NSCA CSCS does. Um, so I like that one personally. I think that is, when you see PhDs put CSCS, at the end of their initials after their name, it's a credential. I think means it's pretty important. Um, but yeah, any school, physiology, exercise science, all those are going to be very helpful for you as well. Just give you a broader knowledge of the subject, and then your experience within the military can also be an attribute that a lot of non-military people um, don't have. So I think both experience and education can't go wrong. All right, Stu, is it okay if I glide in a lead arm trail arm position? I'm super buoyant, and this keeps me at that perfect subsurface area. Well, you can. It's just not a combat swimmer stroke. It would be more of the elementary side stroke if you're gliding like this. If you're gliding like this, that's the CSCS. So that's really the two differences between the CSCS and the elementary side stroke. In fact, if you want to see it, um, I have videos of it. It's one of my YouTube shorts that you can find right here. You can see the difference between the two, and it works either way. So let's see if Instagram's working. Looks like it is. Let's see. Leo says, "Are there any questions you suggest you ask your doctor or nutritionist to get more information on your health or exercise, eating habits? Huh, to just get more knowledge on yourself." I mean, I think any blood work panel is going to help you. You can get uh, your typical metabolic blood work panel. You can get a hormonal blood work panel. I mean, I think all of those right there, all the numbers that you get out of that are very helpful. I mean, I personally, now that I'm in my 50s, I go to the doctor every year. I have this blood work panel that I get, and it is part of my annual training to PR those numbers. So that means my diet needs to be on par, my exercise needs to be perfect, not overdoing it, not underdoing it. Um, body mass needs to be in line. I can't get too big because I find if I get too big, my blood pressure goes up and my cholesterol's like crap. So if I keep it, below 200, so these are types of things that over the years you will find out what what is better for you. Um, and my advice is this: keep track of everything you eat, everything your workout, and keep a log of it. And when you do really well, you might have discovered, just looking back at the last 24 hours, you might have discovered a perfect answer to your performance issues. Might be sleep, might be nutrition, might be hydration, you know, whatever. Might be a perfect, um, workout split routine that does it. But yeah, I mean, that's where I would start. Get a good understanding from the doctor, nutritionist, and then just start keeping track of it. And then the more you know, the better questions you can ask to coaches and nutritionists and things like that. Does that make sense, Leo? Um, let's see here. So looks like I got all those questions over there answered. All right, Mike says, "Hey Stu, I often hear people say if you ain't cheating, you trying. How does that play in bloods? When integrity is so important. How do you know when to bend the rule and when to not?" Well, my advice is this: is yes, that is the saying, and some people, say get through that kind of training any way you can. Um, that I don't agree with that because some people take that a little too far, start using supplements or PEDs, and that's cheating really badly. Uh, I wrote an article a while back ago that I called something similar. It's oh yeah, thinking outside the box versus if you are not cheating, you're not trying. So the question is, are you cheating or thinking outside the box? It's not always black and white. So check out this article. But my advice is this, what decisions are you making when no one's watching? Are you taking the easy way out? Uh, there's a saying also that goes with it. It pays to be a winner, but at what cost? Is to become a winner. What does that what does that require of you? Um, my advice is this: don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, but bullshit, gouge, and recon. Just joking. That's an old saying too. But check out this article because I'll be honest with you. I have used that saying a few times, but it was not in the way that you would think. It's not like if you're running a 4 mile time run and you cut it short to pass it. That's an unacceptable cheat. 'Cause you're not meeting the standard that everybody else is setting for themselves. If you have a particular uh, field operation that just training op that you're doing, and you see a way to get from A to B much faster. Let's say you hotwire a car and you drive 15 minutes instead of ruck 10 miles. Okay, is that cheating? I don't know. That's a tough question. Does the mission get accomplished? Does everybody get home safely? There's some gray areas where that thing is. But read this article because I like to think of it more if you're looking for a, a better solution than cheating, thinking outside the box to have a better solution to a desired outcome is different. It requires creative thinking, which I think anybody in special ops will tell you that you need creative thinking to a problem because your plan to go from A to B will probably get screwed up in some way. And you have to think outside the box to have a contingency plan that you follow or come up with a new plan altogether right there and have everybody in the group understand it. So integrity is probably the most important. If you're jeopardizing your integrity, it's not worth it. In fact, we just had a guy get kicked out second phase, and he did something stupid. He lied to an instructor, but he did it to protect his swim buddy. Some gray areas there. Is it loyalty to a swim buddy? So you take the blame for the swim buddy not not passing something, and then you get caught in it, and now you say, "Yeah, that was stupid of me," and you got kicked out. So that's you don't want to be lying. You know, be truthful. All right, let's see what else we got over here. So, did you see that article? Yeah, I think I posted that article, right, about lying and cheating. Think outside the box. Yeah, I posted it. Check it out. It's a fun article. Really fun, and it might help you understand it a little bit more. David says, starting the fire academy soon. Any tips for staying mentally tough through stress, no sleep, heavy load? Appreciate your training program. Um, yeah, when you're going through those training programs, that's the way it is. That is the test. You know, the tips that I have are really going to just solely address recovery and pace. Because when you got a long, hard day, you don't want to blow it all in the first event. Right? You need to understand you got to pace yourself in order to be able to do the next one. So a great example would be your buds. They will, whatever day you're doing, first thing in the day, you got a 4 mile time, right? But you're going to have other activities to do. You're going to have swims and treads, and might even have scuba diving that day. That's going to, make you tired and cold and stuff like that. So when you run that 4 mile timed run, what do? Do you run that 24-minute, 6-minute mile and make it a gut check just to improve your time from last week? That's an option. Or can you fall back a little bit, hit a 27:30, and not fall apart later in the day when you're now dehydrated, you're got a cramp, uh, electrolytes, you got to eat well, got to hydrate, got to sleep well when you can. You got to lick your wounds in between uh, activities. So those are more of the tips I'm talking about. So make sure you're just pacing yourself. Uh, Sing says, "Did you see my message? I gotta be more. I got probably 150 messages that I have seen in the last 24 hours. Um, Turning 27 this fall. I can swim, run fine, and I'm getting stronger in the gym. But am I too old for buds? Nope, not at all. If you think you're too old for buds, you are. I promise you, you are not. Put it this way: I wish I was 27. So, all right, let's show some CSS videos. Eh? I'm going to show this one real quick because somebody mentioned elementary side stroke. This is just
Look at
on
the
my
difference.
shorts over there
Here is
on
a short side by
YouTube
side
Shorts.
of the CSS, known as
Kind
the
of see
combat swimmer
the
stroke
top
up top,
being
and
a
the elementary side stroke. Both
CSS, the
are
bottom.
legal.
See how you glide
Side
with the
stroke underwater
bottom arm?
recovery strokes for the Navy
You glide with
PST.
both arms
Look at
on
the difference.
CSS.
Here is a short side.
Let's keep it going.
Here is a short
Top arm,
side by
bottom arm,
side of
kick,
the
and hold the
CSS,
glide with
known as
both
the
hands over
combat
here.
swimmer
That's
stroke
the
up
CSS.
top, and the
Top
elementary
arm,
side
the
stroke.
way
Both
the
are legal.
elementary side stroke
Side
works is
stroke
it's
underwater recovery
bottom arm,
strokes
top
for the
arm kick,
Navy
and hold the glide
PST.
with the bottom
Look
arm
at the
out in front of you.
difference.
So both are
Here is a
legal
short side by side of the
underwater recovery
CSS,
strokes.
known
It's
as
up to
the
you which
combat
one you
swimmer
want to do.
stroke up
I will
top,
tell you this:
and the elementary side stroke.
not many
Both are
people
legal.
are faster at
Side stroke
elementary side
underwater
stroke than they
recovery
are at
strokes for
CSS.
the
So
Navy
up to you
PST.
which one you want to do.
Look at the difference.
If you're decent time on the
Here is a
elementary side
short
stroke,
side
great.
by side of the CSS.
All right, so that's the difference between elementary side stroke and CSS. If you're not familiar with that, let me pull up some others here. All right, I got a couple of different videos. Let me just make sure I got the volume down over there so you're not hearing that and me. And I will share my screen. All right, what do we have here? We have a guy kicking off 2 seconds into this stroke. This is going to be fast. Good double arm pull. That's really good. I like that. Top arm, bottom arm, kick. Top arm, bottom arm, kick. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pull. Got a little breaststroke kick in there. That's fine. You can do that if you want. Yeah, this is fine. If you like the breaststroke, great. If you're good at it, do it. If you don't, you never swum breaststroke before in your life, don't choose this as your choice because you're going to suck at it. My advice is if you're a running athlete, your hips are more developed for a scissor kick. Yeah, this is really good, man. You don't need my help on any of this. Yeah, I mean, if you put it this way, if you're not swimming sub 8 right now, then it's purely a conditioning issue, because this swim right here, 50 yards and 47 seconds is a sub-8 swim pace right there. So very good. All right, let's see what else we got. Share my screen again. Oh, yeah, I remember this one. Every now and then I get one of these that I'm not sure what to tell them other than, all right, this is a very, this is not the CSS, and it is a very poor attempt at the elementary side stroke. But you see that top leg going backwards? That's a little indicator that this is a like a weak side. You're on your weak side, but you're doing a strong side kick. If you flipped over, I guarantee you your top leg would go forward, and that would be more. That's going to be more helpful for you in the future, to just be able to keep your top leg going forward every time you do the CSS. Now, I guess technically speaking, as long as you change sides and your top leg is going backwards on the other side, then sure, that's fine. But what happens is most people, when they switch sides, now their top leg's going forward and the bottom leg's going backwards, which is correct. However, when they switch sides to the weak side, they don't change the kick. And the reason why you switch sides is so you change the kick and you change the arm pulls to give yourself a little bit of a break there. So take a pick. Which one do you want? And you're going to have to change your kick if you change your sides. My advice would be switch sides, practice this elementary side stroke a little smoother, try to get it to look like that guys I just showed you when I compared the CSS and the elementary side stroke together. Other than that, either learn the CSS or get better at this one. But this one, you got the timing right, but you're just messing up on some elementary side strokes. So it's like that bottom arm there that's out there scooping. You got the top arm, it could go up a little higher, could straighten it out a little bit more. Just way too much work to do that. All right, what's next? I think I got one more here. I'm going to have to cut today's a little bit short. Got some stuff going on that got to get moving. So a little bit further away. I know sometimes you can't get the lane next to me, but if you're further away from this first lane, it's hard for me to actually see you. It looks like you got a little bit of kick going. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Yeah, you're just over gliding. So 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. Yeah, I shouldn't be able to say 4 at all. Shouldn't be able to say that third Mississippi. So what's happening is you're over gliding and it's slowing your momentum down every stroke. So you got to recreate that momentum because you almost stop before you start pulling, right? And if you just pull a second earlier, you'll maintain that speed throughout the whole swim at that yard per second versus kind of be stuck in the water every stroke right here. See how you just lose all your momentum? 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. Yeah. So if you pull on 3, you're going to be much faster. I've seen guys go from like a 10:30 to a 9 overnight because they just shortened their glide. So the flip side of this is you're undergliding and you're wasting momentum by starting the next stroke too soon. I see that a lot too with 1 second glides, and you're missing out on probably a body length of glide distance, in the next 2 seconds. So you're just overworking that one. All right, so those are my main 3 that I have. If something else pops up with these questions, I may show another one if it pertains to it. Gray Man says, I was 215 for a while and was definitely suffering on my pull-ups and push-ups. Finally got 76, 78. push-ups, 8 to 12 on pull-ups, just weighed myself 190. Nice. That's good. Now, try to, get those pull-ups a little higher even. Though I will say, I don't know if you saw my latest article. This is kind of fun. I did a breakdown of the PST events. So they didn't quite do a study of the PST distance of 500 yards. So I used 1,000-yard swim with fins that they use for entry into first phase. So check this out. And I had pull-up, push-up, sit-ups, and they didn't have a 1.5 mile part of the study, but they had a 4 mile timed run, which is a BUDS test. So basically, it breaks down Hell Week success depending on these scores. And something that amazed me was there were 20 people out of 19 BUDS classes, 20 people in 19 BUDS classes. So let's say a person per class that had 10 to 12 pull-ups and still made it through Hell Week. So it's not an impossibility to be at 12 pull-ups and make it through Hell Week. There was also a person who had 36 pull-ups and didn't make it through Hell Week. So there is a fine line between this bell curve of who makes it, who doesn't. There was a guy who had over 30 that made it through Hell Week. There's a guy that had 10, made it through Hell Week. Most people were in the middle at like 17 to 21. Yeah, those numbers that I did in the study, those numbers are before going into Hell Week. So their fitness tests taken throughout their prep process and right before first phase, they had all these tests taken. 3 weeks later, they go through Hell Week and they see what their success rate was. So it wasn't taken during Hell Week. Nope, you're not going to do that well if you're taking a fitness test during Hell Week. These were done before Hell Week. 3-4 weeks later, then they tested. The test was, did they get through Hell Week, and what was that percentage? Percentage was very low between BUDS classes 300 and 318. They were. There's about a 6, maybe a 7% graduation rate. Now, that doesn't include, that's originals. That doesn't include people who were rolled and then made it through the next class. But that's pretty low. So it's kind of interesting to see those scores. And you'll see sometimes it just doesn't make sense. You have a guy who runs a 30-minute 4-mile timed run, and you have a guy that runs a 23-minute 4-mile timed run, and the 30-minute 4-mile timed run makes it through Hell Week, and the 23-minute one doesn't. It has just as much to do with desire as physical fitness scores, but it does break down those scores, and you can kind of see what the median range is of kind of like that sweet spot, so to speak, to be in a good stead, not in that outlier of 10 pull-ups making it through Hell Week, or that outlier of 36 pull-ups not making it through Hell Week. It's a really neat study. So check it out. Let me see. I just put it up on my YouTube channel, and yeah, it's pretty good. So check that out. Stu, need to drop about 2.5 minutes off my 3-mile time in about a month. Any suggestions? Yeah. Learn how to run whatever pace that is. So if that's a 7-minute mile, so a 21-minute is what you need. I don't know. Maybe it's an 18-minute is what you need. In a month, that's really hard to do. If you're going from 7 to 6-minute mile, very hard to do in a month. Is it impossible? Not really, but it's tough. If you were going from 8-minute mile to a 7-minute mile, much easier to do. It's just physiologically easier to drop a minute from 8 to 7 than it is from 7 to 6-minute mile pace. My advice is learn your pace. And if you need some aerobic base training, that's fine. It's just a month is not really enough time to really build a lot of aerobic base stuff. So my advice would be this: hit your running paces, no faster, no slower, 400 yards, 800 yards. And on the days in between, just do some non impact cardio that's challenging, not easy stroll in the park. That way you can kind of work some non impact cardio aerobic base training into your running training a little bit, like assault bikes and rowing machines. But you want to get winded, you want to break a sweat, you want to get your heart going good, and then practice that pace, muscle memory that pace. That's going to be very important. Let's see. Gary says, are 200 body weight squats and 200 lunges every day bad for the joints? Yes. I would think that kind of volume is way too much for the joints, especially if you're older like me. I don't think it's good for being younger. Every other day, yeah, sure, you can get away with it. Maybe do upper body 200 push-ups and 100 pull-ups every other day. Right, like break it up. That would be logical. I think any time you're doing that kind of volume every day, you're going to have joint issues, and you're probably not going to recover very well from that kind of volume daily. Every other day, sure, you could do that. Yeah. Your thoughts, recommendations for candidates who are older, who are medically prescribed TRT by a doctor and are wanting to go to selection. I don't know, man. I'm not even sure if that's allowed. Might be. I've never heard, put it this way, Odin, I've never heard that question. So I don't have an answer for it. So I'm not the one to ask. I'm not even sure if it's legal. So I was wondering what you thought about the AFSW pipeline. Love it. If you haven't heard anything about it, no worries. No, I've heard a lot about it. In fact, wrote this about it. Come on, man. I think it's an excellent program. Going to my last year of college, planning to go on OCS SOAS process with the recruiter soon. Coming from wrestling, figured I'd shift my focus elsewhere. Thoughts on triathlon team or no sports? I think triathlon team's great. I think wrestlers who can swim do really well. So that's where I would focus. And triathlon team's great because if you're not into running a lot right now, the best thing about it is 2/3 of your training is non-impact cardio training. You already got the calisthenics down, I'm sure. Wrestlers all about conditioning and muscle stamina. Probably got some wiry strength being a wrestler, toughness. So yeah, I think 2/3 of your cardio being non-impact and one of the third being something you need to get good at anyway. Absolutely. Triathlon team makes sense, but you're still going to have to lift and do calisthenics and things like that. I messaged you about treading here in Florida. Saying, man, I don't know what you're talking about. I guess the answer is no, I didn't get your message. So why don't you just ask it again? Are those okay? Looks like I answered all those questions. Gray Man says, well, I'll say I was exhausted doing that many pull ups and push ups at 215, but now I can do more without exhaustion. That's good. That's really good. And it's going to get better too. You just need to do more volume workouts. Workouts like this are going to get you, the pyramid superset, the max rep set. That's going to get you from stuck in the teens to, up in the 20s for pull-ups. Thank you. 1530 or 2530 is the minimum, shooting for 24. I'm not sure what is this referring to. Oh, 3 mile? Yeah. Get good at 8-minute miles. That's not hard to do. In a month, absolutely you can do that. So your quarter miles are 2 minutes, your half miles are 4 minutes, your 3/4 miles are 6 minutes, your miles are 8 minutes. Practice. getting good at those. Know how it feels. Know how the breathing rhythm is. Don't take caffeine before you run. It's going to jack you up. I'm telling you, it's going to artificially elevate your heart rate, and you're just not going to feel that well. Practice running after your PT test if you're doing pull-ups and plank and stuff like that prior to the PT test. All right, a few more questions and I got to bail. All right, let's see. Hey, Stu, just graduated high school. Was wondering if it's a good idea to take up wrestling once a week on top of all the swimming, running, weightlifting. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I think any kind of martial arts, grappling, is something healthy to do. Makes you a little tougher. You learn something. I think it's fine. Just don't do it to get hurt. That's the problem. I think where a lot of people go into like MMA and jiu-jitsu and triathlons, road bikes for that matter, and they're 6 months out from shipping, into a selection program, and then inevitably somebody gets hurt. Same thing for contact sports. I've seen people need surgeries and need surgeries and be disqualified. All of that. So just try to stay healthy. That's the biggest thing. What indoor exercises should I consistently do to reduce my weight without a lot of equipment? Anything. I think squats, lunges, push-ups, flutter kicks, are all great. If you want, if you can get a stationary bike, ride the bike, or a rowing machine, or something to get some cardio in. If you don't have that, just walk up and down your stairs. Don't have stairs, find some stairs. But yeah, and then step away from the kitchen. It's going to come down to diet and you moving, probably more than anything. Hey, Stu, I'm a free diver. I use extra long dive fins on a near daily basis. Will the jet fins be similar? Not really. But the fact that you know how to swim with fins is going to be helpful. The learning curve will be quicker. Should feel about the same, though, on your ankles. Should a weight vest PT calisthenics only be done once a week? It's up to you. I mean, you can do it twice a week if you want. You can do it 2 days in a row if you go upper body, lower body, split. Do upper body with push-ups and pull-ups and dips, and then do squats and lunges and rucking with a weight vest on the next day. So no reason why you can't do it multiple days. I just tend to depends on the cycle I'm in. Some spring training when I'm transitioning out of a weightlifting cycle into a calisthenic cycle, we'll use weight vests multiple times in the week as we transition from weighted activities to weighted calisthenics activities to pure calisthenics activities. It's a cycle. It is a progression, just like with running and swimming mileage. All right, Kwame, this is my last one. Sorry, guys. I do need to go. Got some stuff happening. Hey, Stu, best way to improve swimming endurance to consistently swim without getting tired? Any treading water advice? Yes, got some great articles for you. You need to check out, Dude, You're Not in Swimming Shape, because that is a great article, and workout is inside that article to help you understand the type of training you need to do, and then learn how to tread. So treading might be a mobility issue, so you might need to stretch some and get better at treading, but you can also watch the different ways to tread in this article video right there as well. So guys, sorry, I need to cut it short. I need to go. If I missed your question, just send it to me at stu@stewsmith.com. And, happy to answer that question. You can also go to stewsmithfitness.com and check out the articles over there. There's also you can see right here, Live15 coupon code, save 15% on programs like this and programs like this that you didn't know I had. Even got Army stuff. So check it out over there. There's tons over there, probably 40 different programs that I've created over the years, as well as online coaching and things like that. All right, guys, I got to run. I will see you later. Have a good one.